How much sleep did I get? That doesn't matter, okay? We're watching the Monster Hunter Wilds trailer. So we opened on a sand ship, which was the first thing that got me. Talking hunter, talking palico.
As soon as we find a good spot, we can get things set up and ready to go. And then
New
we
blacksmith,
can get
new
started.
handler. So one thing I want to say about Gemma, the blacksmith. Let's talk about this person in a minute. But the blacksmith. Let's see if we can get a good look at her jacket, because I've seen it pointed out already that she has a lot in common with certain Little Miss Forge, and also if we look at this design on her jacket, if we look at the Caravaneer from For Ultimate, it has been pointed out. I saw Gaijin on Twitter pointed to this. It's that design. That is definitely that design. So one thing that I would like to say about this situation here, because this is not the first blacksmith that we've had that takes influence from existing characters. Menail from Sunbreak is very similar to an older version of Little Miss Forge, and I was of the belief that she actually is Little Miss Forge but grown up. I'm teetering on the edge of losing.
We can get started.
This is good.
Oh, so we look at this little plush. This is a very Guildmom thing. We can see that there's a lot of For Ultimate influence in Gemma's design. Does this mean that this actually is an adult version of Little Miss Forge? I don't know. On Menail and her design, that is undeniable. She is even more Little Miss Forge in terms of her outfit. If we look at her, okay, we can see the color design. Basically, it's the color scheme and the shape of her outfit is so Little Miss Forge. But now we have another character who also takes influence from that era, and some specific characters as well. Also, her being a blacksmith. I feel like her being a blacksmith is the only thing that she takes from Little Miss Forge. So I'm leaning more towards actually gained some sort of a cult following. People who want to pursue certain careers, like a blacksmith, they might fashion their aesthetics after the existing caravan, because there was such an inspiration. That said, you know, this is very clearly taking place in the New World. So is there some relationship between Gemma and Aiden? Is Gemma some relative of Aiden, and Aiden just sort of recounted the stories that he lived through in For Ultimate to her, and she took inspiration from that? Or is she actually Little Miss Forge? Because there doesn't seem to be a massive time jump between For Ultimate and World, given Aiden's age. We don't know how long humans live in this world. I'd assume it's a little longer than in real life. I don't think it really matters generally, but if they're gonna, it might need to start mattering. Regardless of whether or not she is who we think she is, Gemma looks like she'll be a very fun character. So all of these characters here actually have very modern designed outfits, but with sort of design elements from the Monster Hunter series, like these little, I don't know what to call them, these kind of tabs of leather, like they appear sort of all over the place. So it is a very classic Monster Hunter-y design for clothing, but it is also a lot more modern looking than maybe we're used to, which implies potentially some kind of time jump between World and this. I wouldn't be surprised for this to be far enough in the future that the only living characters, the only characters that remain alive from World are the Wyverians, because as we find out later in the trailer, this is a research commission, much like the one that went to the New World, but this, while it is called the Research Commission, it's specifically in reference to the Forbidden Lands, which is the name of the world that we'll be traversing.
That'd be great.
You bet.
I hope we find them soon.
Story. Okay, right. So this guy, Nata. If we look at characters, here we go. Mysterious young boy that accompanies you on your journey. So we know nothing about this guy. That is all. This shot here, the lighting on it and the sort of composition of everything, and this room. Also in the background we can see this guild logo. So this guy is important in the guild. I don't want to say if I think he's a returning character or not. I've seen people compare him to the Ace Lancer and Julius. Could be either, could be neither. Yeah, that's right. I said either and neither.
Not either. Neither.
Not either. Neither.
But this background design, these sort of curlicues are a very world thing. I can't remember where I saw them in the actual world of world, but I'm pretty sure they're in the menus. So yeah, this is a very new world setting. What's going on here in this room? It's sort of like this is where you go to get your briefings or something, or just where you talk to your boss, this guy. It's very curious. It looks like the overall quest on this one is going to be more personal. It's going to be more of a sort of questing for a person rather than just for the environment.
I hope we find them soon.
Although, that said, okay, you play as a professional monster hunter, protecting the balance of the ecosystem and not protecting monsters, killing them, hunting monsters. Use the resources you gain from hunts to craft even more powerful weapons and armor in your quest to unravel the mysteries of the new lands. So it is, you know, classic like New Frontier, whatever, going into a new place. So it is like Monster Hunter World. You're exploring new territory, doing all that stuff, but there is this addition of this personal quest with this guy. Who is he? Oh, the dunes. Okay, I'm just going to be stopping whenever I want, okay? If you're not okay with that, leave. So, this guy, Chatacabra, he's tiny, I love him. These, I think, might be the same raptors we see later on in the trailer. Also, New World raptors, hey? Yeah, it might be the same raptors we see later on in the trailer. I don't think my resolution is high enough to be able to see their beaks. But I love this oasis, and I love these guys.
I've never heard of a Karatnoth herd this big before.
Also, this lovely wingdrake looking thing.
Incredible. I've never heard of a Karatnoth herd this big before.
One of them's got big spikes on its back.
Oh, I love the palico. Okay, we've got honey here that disappears. And it's in the background there as well. I've just noticed it in the background. It disappears here, it disappears there, so it looks like item placements. It looks like item placements will be dependent on the time of day, potentially. Either the time of day or the environmental shifts that happen, because that is something that's been confirmed in the living world. So we can see here there looks like there's 3 states to the Windward Plains, which is the name of this map. Each hunting locale features an environment with drastically different identities, one in which the region is harsh and unforgiving, where monsters fight for limited resources, another in which the region is brimming with life. Changes in the environment mean changes to the monsters and wildlife. Okay, right, so it looks like there will always be at least 2 different states that a map can be in. This one has 3, at least. We don't know if there's all of them. See, the thing I find interesting is that in the initial trailer, I was under the impression that this sandy, like sandstorm, was a transition between the sunny disposition, I suppose, and the lightning storm. But it seems like that is not the case. It seems like this will be just a separate state that this map can be in, and it'll just have different effects, and I love it. I love it, I love it, love it. Okay, right. Moving on.
One of them's got big spikes on its back.
Ran off. Oh, yeah, also.
One of them's got big spikes on its back.
Can't move on without pointing out this little guy. This is again low resolution, but this looks like a very just a baby Pookie. Someone pointed out that this looked like a baby Pookie, and yeah, I agree with them. It does look like a baby Pookie, similar to the baby Tetsukabra from Rise. Small Monster Leviathan. It's not our first one. We had a Rocktail before, but this is brilliant. I love it. Small monster. It looks like it's behaving like a crocodile, with it sneaking up on whatever these guys are called. I forget what they are called. Okay, so with this new trailer being revealed at the PlayStation event, the State of Play, there was an additional PlayStation blog that came out alongside this trailer, where they actually detailed what looked like more than the website updates, because I can't seem to find the small monsters. Unless I'm just dumb. I might just be dumb. So we've got Karatanoth, and we've got Dolthodon. That's the name. I still don't know if it's going to be pronounced Dolthodon or Dalthodon, but whatever. These guys, I don't think we have a name for these guys yet, but these guys attacking Dolthodon like some kind of crocodile. I like that the little baby one here is running in the opposite direction to the Dolthodons, because it's dumb. God, I love these raptors. They're so cool. They're so beaky raptors, and I don't know if they have any relation to these guys, because these were particularly interesting in the launch trailer, because they are what look like endemic life raptors, which is completely new. These look kind of frontiery with their spikes. I think that the first thing I thought when I saw the spikes was Abiyarugu. Yeah, here we go. It's not quite the same, but yeah, we can see the spikes on their tails and the sort of shape that they are. Very sharp tails, very Abiyarugu influenced, I think. Does this mean we'll get Abiyarugu for the game? I wouldn't mind it. It's a fun monster. But yeah. Let's move on. Right. One thing I want to note about this, it does say not hunting, we want monsters. Okay, right. Doshiguma. Rugged territorial fanged beasts that exhibit an aggressive disposition and inhabit a large range, sometimes observed in large packs. Now, does this mean that all of these are the same? This is a Doshiguma, this is a Doshiguma, this is a Doshiguma, and none of them are the Great Doshiguma, or the Doshadrome, or something. Probably. But it seems like this is a sort of alpha situation, because this guy is rising above the rest and you know, sort of taking charge in the herd. We can see that it's got red fur on here. I don't know if I saw any red fur on the others.
Now to lead it away from the pack.
Oh my god, we can talk about that in a minute. I don't know if I'm talking about the monsters. Right, so Doshiguma. There doesn't look to be much red on this one, but it's very noticeable. We can very clearly see the red on the back of this guy as well, but we can't really see it on here. So that just makes me think if there's some variation within a single species, because in all previous Monster Hunter games there hasn't been any variation within a single monster category. aside from like special versions of some quests, like the Kirin quest in Iceborne, for instance, where you go, and the only thing that's different about that Kirin is that it has a broken horn, and I think that's the most different. That's the most different they really get, aside from event quests. So will it be possible that within a single monster species there can be multiple kinds of variation, such as an alpha of them? Even if it's the same species, we can see that there are some visual differences, notably size and the colour of the fur. So we can't see any red fur on these guys. That is something that's distinctly unique to this alpha. I like that they're hiding here. This implies maybe some, because we see the ecology cutscene, or at least part of it, for Doshiguma later on in the trailer, and it transitions seamlessly into a fight with it. Alma announces the hunt active by order of the guild, which is quite a nice announcement. It's a very serious handler of her. If you remember in Iceborne with the serious handler, the stretch of time when you have the serious handler as your handler, she makes announcements at the start and end of the hunt, as if she's sort of doing some kind of voice record of like the official goings on of the hunter, something the handler never verbally does. I want to think that potentially there are multiple ecology cutscenes for some monsters. So if you're tracking the monster down and there's some kind of disturbance, like you see a herd of Doshiguma on the way to seeing the main one, because this doesn't look like it could transition very seamlessly into the ecology cutscene that we see later on in the lightning. This doesn't seem like it's part of the same cutscene to me. I could be completely wrong about that though. This doesn't look to me to be part of the same cutscene, so I think this might be the case that you have a cutscene earlier on in the quest, and then you actually have one when you get to the monster. So you see the effects potentially in cutscene form, potentially not, and later on you watch the cutscene and then you fight the monster. They have talked about the immersion in this game. They've talked about the element of immersion being deeper than all the others, which is to be expected. And it seems like the description that they have of the game, where is it? Okay, one of the game's main themes, living world. So this looks like it seems to have the same kind of ethos, I suppose, the same kind of design principles as Base World. I don't need to say Base World, just World really, where they want to create a living, breathing world, which is respectable. I like that, and it's something that I would want to see more of in this game, and I can believe that it is on display here in full. Well, not in full, but you know what I mean.
Now to lead it away from the pack.
Okay, right, this. First of all, that was a voice line from the hunter that is context specific. We'll be hearing that word a lot, so that's interesting. The hunter seems to be talking with actual, relevant dialogue in this game, unlike Rise, when the all of the hunter lines were just sort of not flavor text, but flavor dialogue to sort of for people who like it to have some kind of anime element to their hunts, where their hunter would just shout out random stuff. I have no idea how this is going to work in the game. I have no idea what they plan to do for this. Anyway, let's talk about this stone pile here and what he does to it. He uses the clutch claw on it. So, this isn't the clutch claw. It has been dubbed as I'm not sure. Let's find it, shall we? Let's find it together. Hook slinger. The hook slinger is the newest evolution of the slinger, allowing you to gather all types of materials from a distance. So it's basically like the boomerang from classic Zelda. So you can just like gather shit with it. That's awesome. Can be used while mounted on a sacred, and can even be used to interact with certain environmental objects or trigger traps. So that later part is something that we're familiar with. We can see him using it in here on loop. That comes down, hits that guy in the head. I think stuns him.
We'll make for the desert.
Right.
Let's watch that in slow motion, frame by frame. You can see And he's down.
Aim for the desert.
Right.
So yeah, I think this is a much better use than the clutch claw of that sort of concept of a claw on a string. Whether or not this will actually work as a clutch claw remains to be seen, remains to be confirmed. They haven't confirmed or denied the presence of the clutch claw in this game yet, but I personally am doubtful because of the controversial nature of that feature in Iceborne. Not many people liked it. Going through most of the story and a lot of the end, well, going through all of the story and most of the end game, my first time round Iceborne, I used the hammer, so I personally had a wonderful experience with the clutch claw, but I know that a lot of people didn't, and now playing Hunting Horn, it's not as great as obviously I thought it was with hammer because of the bias that moveset has for it. Personally, I think this is a better feature than the clutch claw because you can use it for all-round utility. Maybe you can latch onto the monsters, but instead use it to engage some other form of gameplay rather than just tenderizing or wallbanging. I think those are fairly surface level features. As interesting as they are and as fun as they are, they became very tedious very quickly in Iceborne, according to a lot of people. That was the sort of consensus that I found. So yeah, I like this. I like the hook slinger.
The sandstorm!
So we're going towards the sandstorm now. This was the ecology cutscene that I was talking about earlier. Again, I could be completely wrong in thinking that it's multiple cutscenes. It could be one cutscene because this is a herd falling into the sand. And we saw the herd in the earlier cutscene, so it could be the same herd, and it probably is the same herd, and it could be just, you know, panning a little bit to the side with the camera of that cutscene, or just following the monster a little bit. So who knows? Capcom, that's who knows. But yeah, also with knowledge from Monster Hunter World, we can probably deduce that there will be an area beneath this. It's quite exciting. Hopefully Monobloss. I love the lighting produced by this storm effect because it's very washed out. Like there's barely any colour. Look at the colourful palico reduced to nothing, and we can see it's very sort of desaturated and very matte coloured. Part of it could be the sand clinging to all of the bodies, and part of it could be just the lighting. The lighting is very oppressive.
Now commencing the hunt by order of the guild.
I love that voice line. That's such a good contextual. It seems like the tree more so than with World, I think, because in Base World, why do I keep saying Base World? In World, well, 2 or 3 of the maps had already been explored. All of the maps except for the Elder's Recess and the Frost Reach, and I guess the Guiding Lands as well, because the Guiding Lands, I'm of the belief that the Guiding Lands forms over the course of the endgame of World. But that's beside the point. Yeah, so most of the maps in World were already discovered and explored in some capacity. The tracker has explored the Rotten Vale. She basically lives down there, is present in the Coral Highlands. It's not like they have a hunter there with them other than the tracker, so if anyone has explored the Coral Highlands, it would have been the tracker. And of course the first 2 maps, the Ancient Forest and the Wildspire Waste, they have already been explored by at least the Seeker for the Wildspire Waste, and the Ancient Forest, it's right next door to the Commission's headquarters, so that would be kind of, you know, a bit silly if they hadn't explored it at all. And I believe that the field team leader would have done that. Having a guild person on the hunt with you, such as Alma, I think that makes a lot of sense. Anyway, let's look at Chatacabra. Alright, okay. First of all, this cutscene, Sacred gets knocked over, RIP. Anyway, Chatacabra, look at this guy, look at him licking you. Look at his studded tongue. Look at that tongue. What'd that tongue do? It's got a very Devil Joe mouth. It's so small. It's for Shang size. I love him. Now what I find very interesting about him, other than everything, is that he's an amphibian. He's an amphibian, but he has... shut up, Shiguma, we're done with you. It is a sort of Garangolm figure. And we can see its saliva on its arms. I hadn't noticed that before, actually. It has saliva on its arms, because it keeps licking its arms to stick stuff to it. That's brilliant. But yeah, so it's a sort of ape-shaped amphibian. That's cool. Let's just watch this. He's leaving a trail of saliva on the floor. Look at that. I wonder if that'll do some kind of blight, or if it'll just be saliva like Pookie Pookie. Likelihood is that this is going to be some kind of early monster. That's a nice roll as well. There's going to be some kind of early monster in the game. This will probably be the Pookie Pookie equivalent, or the Tetranodon equivalent as well. Oh, look at it. Okay, right, this here. So did you see that? So just before the hunter gets hit, listen out for a whistle. So as we can see from here, and later on in the trailer, where the hunter is walking with their weapon out and whistling, you can whistle, it seems, from any point for your ride to come and pick you up, and it seems like it'll be... it is the whistle itself that causes it to pick you up, rather than your input otherwise. Because in Rise, it was you held A when you were near to the Palamute, and then it would come and pick you up. But if you ran too fast for it, it would lose interest. And with the Raider rides, it was just you go up to them and press A, or whatever the button was. In this, it looks like the whistle itself is going to be the thing that triggers the ride to automatically happen when your little buddy gets to you. Instead of needing to have some kind of input control, you can do it from the ground. That's great. I don't know how I feel about it. We'll have to wait and see. It is cool. Look at this legend. I will say overall, I do prefer Sacred to Palamutes. Just my opinion. I think that. Oh, okay, right. Small monsters attacking a large monster in a bespoke animation. This is fucking awesome. Look at it. Watch it. Okay, that's the whistle. Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? Watch that again. Watch that again, will you? Watch what he just did. Let's watch that in slow motion. Let's watch it in full on. That's the wrong thing. I didn't. Shit. Oops.
Ever heard of a...
Let's watch this in 25% speed. Beautiful. Your ears hurt now. Okay, so the pouch has a use. We can see in the hunting tab, I think. Okay, right. In addition to acting as a rideable mount, the Sacred enables hunters to access and switch to a secondary weapon without returning to base. This is a brand new ability to adapt quickly to an ever-changing hunt in Monster in the Wilds. So, this, watching it in action, functionally confirms this will not be a set change. This will just be a weapon change. Take it out. well, doesn't completely confirm it, but the seamlessness of it makes me think that it is just a weapon change and not a set change. The description of it on that PlayStation blog makes me think that this is this can be any weapon. It's not just a bowgun. The fact that you can do mounted combat as a bowgun to me implies that the only thing that melee weapons will have for mounted combat will be a jumping attack off of your ride, apart from maybe Lance. Hopefully Lance will get its much requested jousting feature in this game. Hopefully we can dream. But this is awesome. We finally get confirmation that this is what this is. That jumping attack. Let's watch that again. Beautiful. Okay, so we see a jumping attack from the greatsword that is a sideways one. It's a side slash rather than a downward strike or an upward thing. It's a sideways slash. And then we go into focus mode. This. Okay, right. What is going on here? So focus mode. I'm getting lightheaded. Focus mode. Ability aim your attacks and guard abilities also. So we see this a couple times in the trailer. It allows you to me it looks like a similar state to the you know, when you went into the clutch claw mode in Iceborne, all of the weapons you went into like the new clutch claw mode, and you can sort of strafe without turning your body, and the camera like zooms in a bit. This looks like that. Functionally. Okay, and also if any of you have played Dragon's Dogma 2, you might recognise this concept here. There's a charge attack coming from the hunter that intersects with an attack from the monster, clashes, and the monster goes reeling. So it could be a form of counter where, if you recognise from the warrior in Dragon's Dogma 2, I don't think it was a thing in the first one. Basically it's an ability whereby if the active frames of a charge attack intersect with the active frames of an enemy attack, your attack will deal more damage because of that. This is meant to lead to more cinematic combat, and it absolutely does. And this looks like it combos into whatever the hell that was. It looks to me like a Valor run. I've heard it compared to the Frontier run. I think it's a shorter term thing than that. I don't think you can run with your weapon out in this. I think this is more of a, you know how when you sheath your weapon using the Valor stance in Generations Ultimate, you do a little run afterwards. This to me looks like that, except with your weapon out. That or Adept. So this is a, to me it looks like Wyvern ammo for the heavy bowgun. Correct me if you are a heavy bowgun user and recognise this as something different. It does look like it's something a little more than Wyvern ammo though, to be honest, unless it is just a new aesthetic for it.
I'm selected.
Let's just watch that again. This new attack. I don't know if this comes from focus mode or what, but that is beautiful use of the greatsword.
Selected you as a lead hunter for this expedition.
Thank you, sir.
Yes! Talking hunters with actual context to their talking. This is what I thought it would be in Rise, but it wasn't. Your hunter actually says things that matter to the story itself. So we're not just going to be a completely silent protagonist, we will actually have some kind of input, as will the Palico.
Sir.
Get SOS flares back. Okay, right, let's look at this last... Okay, let's just watch this last shot, and then I'll go through it again. Okay. Okay, right. So, Hunter in focus mode, right? Blocks and attack. Seems to send the monster somewhat... No, it doesn't actually send it reeling at all. It sends the Hunter reeling. Longsword comes in at the side. If we can see on the right of the screen here. While this happens, the hammer appears out of nowhere. Longsword does the attack. At first I thought the longsword was bouncing. We can talk about what's going on here in a second. But I think what actually happens is the longsword does the attack and then goes into an EI slash here. Given that kind of fade. Now, let's talk about the hammer. So we can see the hammer, actually, heavy bowgun user comes in here, and the hammer, I like this hammer design, it looks like a controller trigger. We recognize these moves, don't we? Do we recognize the armor though? I want to say it's Great Jagras, but I also don't really feel very strongly about having Great Jagras in the game. What I did notice was this slinger. So it looks like the slinger designs on the whole might not actually be more slick, because that's one thing that we sort of noticed with when the trailer initially came out was this slinger. It looks a lot more slick than any of them from Base World, and it looks about sort of on par with the Thermae slinger from Iceborne. In terms of the sleekness of it, the flushness to your arm, it's like part of your glove, basically. But this is just a very traditional slinger from World. And it doesn't look to me like the bowgun here is doing anything particularly interesting. I don't think I can place that armor set. It looks like it's... I don't know. I can't say what I think that is. I have no idea. But it looks good. And of course. Let's talk about this. Contextual animations. Focus mode block, I reckon. Hang on, let's actually watch what happens there. Block. So that goes straight into this. So you get sent reeling from the block and then immediately go into this. It's like a sort of mutual bespoke animation that they have here, where the hunter blocks an attack and then that seems to trigger some kind of special interaction with the monster. Almost like a sort of, locked in combat, sort of turf war between the hunter and the monster, where I don't know what's going to happen. The hunter seems to push them off to an extent. Love that. Don't know how many weapons are going to be able to do that. I don't know if any of them will have their own. Don't know what the difference between them will be, or if it will just be a greatsword thing, or no idea. Also, can we just appreciate the palico? I'm gonna get the picture up. Shut up, Hunter. I don't care about you. Palico. Oh my god. Look at this guy. Look at his hammer. Look at it. You love him. Look at him. Look at him. He has a scout fly hat. Love him. Love him.